So Resident Evil Requiem came out recently, and there's a detail in it I think most people just kind of walk past without really clocking what it meant. Deep in the ARC facility toward the end of the game, there are these monitors on the wall. And on those monitors is what appears to be an Umbrella product catalog. Like an actual, in-game canonical, somebody sat down and made this price list for bioweapons catalog. And the prices are just there. A Tyrant? That's Mr. X. Costs $120 million. A Licker costs $14 million. Cerberus, $30 million. Plant 43? That giant carnivorous plant thing from Raccoon City? $100 million. And then Nemesis. Listed simply as price negotiable. Which is, I mean, yeah. You know why that's the scariest thing on the list. Now, the thing about that price list is that it's presented as a background detail, something you glance at on your way to the next corridor. But I could not stop thinking about it. Because Umbrella has been selling monsters to people for decades, and that is literally their whole business model. And one specific person has been personally, consistently, kind of obsessively, destroying that product line since 1998. And that is Leon Kennedy. Now we have the prices. So I wonder, what has Leon Kennedy actually cost these people? So we're going to use the catalog as the base price for anything on it. For anything that isn't listed, and there's a lot of stuff that isn't, we're going to scale it relative to what is. And we're being conservative throughout, and we're only counting Leon's campaign in each game too. Because Claire, Ada, Chris, and Jill, they're all running their own separate tabs. Honestly, that's a whole other video. So if you want to see those, let me know. Raccoon City, 1998. Leon's first day on the job. He was late because he had a bad breakup the night before and overslept. That's the actual canonical reason he was late. He overslept because of a breakup. Which is okay. That's maybe the most human way possible to begin one of the most expensive careers in the history of biological weapons procurement. He showed up, underprepared, to a city that was honestly already over by the time he got there. And he just sort of started working. The first major thing he destroys isn't some big dramatic boss. It's something he finds on a ceiling. A Licker. $14 million. Right there in the catalog. It's clinging to the corridor near the STARS office, and the game just kind of goes, here's a flash grenade and a shotgun. Good luck with that. And Leon goes, yeah, okay, sure. But the bill doesn't stop there. Throughout the police station and down into the Nest laboratory, Leon keeps running into Lickers. In corridors, in the lab, in areas where you'd think somebody would have been more careful about a $14 million bioweapon, but apparently not. Conservatively, across this campaign, he accounts for around 6 of them. And if you play as Claire, I think there are more, but we're only counting as Leon. So that's $84 million in wall-crawling nightmare creatures on day 1. Before lunch, probably. And then there's William Birkin. Now, Birkin is a little complicated to price because he's not actually on the catalog. He was Umbrella's lead scientist, the man who invented the G-Virus, but injected himself with it specifically to stop Umbrella from taking his research away. Which is a decision that made sense to him at the time, I'm sure. So he's simultaneously their most valuable scientific asset, a former employee, and an uncontrolled experiment that's now completely escaped anyone's ability to manage it. Whatever the G-Virus program is worth, Birkin basically was that program. We'll price Birkin and everything he represented at $150 million, which honestly still feels a little low. And we're being conservative, so Birkin gets the benefit of the doubt. And now we have Mr. X, $120 million. The catalog is very, very clear on this one. Humanoid bioweapon, exceptional combat capabilities, able to execute simple commands such as tracking and eliminating targets. And then, and I need you to understand that this is a real thing that's actually in the product description. It comes with a code. Standard. For effective human disguise. Someone at Umbrella, as part of their official product documentation, looked at this enormous unstoppable bioweapon and went, you know what he also needs? A coat. Then Leon destroys him with a rocket launcher that Ada throws out a window. Coat and all. Resident Evil 2's grand total is $354 million. Not the biggest number we're going to see today, but I want to sit on what that number represents from the other direction for a second. This is a 21-year-old who had never seen a bioweapon before, running through a city that's already collapsed, with whatever ammunition he could find in the drawers of a police station. No backup, no one briefed him, he just found his own way out. 6 years have now passed and our boy Leon gets trained, gets federal clearance, and then gets sent to Spain to rescue the president's daughter from a religious cult that has, against all odds, independently arrived at basically the same conclusions as Umbrella, but through parasitology instead of virology, Las Plagas instead of the T-Virus. Different mechanism, same general vibe, but entirely new invoice. And if you thought RE2 is expensive, RE4 is where Leon stops becoming a problem and starts being something closer to a natural disaster. The first major thing he destroys is Del Lago. Basically perimeter security, below Tyrant tier in terms of sophistication, but it's still a purpose-built biological weapon that somebody grew and maintained for a specific job, and we'll value it at $50 million. Leon kills it by harpooning it repeatedly from a rowing boat, which, is a pretty disrespectful way to destroy a $50 million asset, but that's not really his problem. And then El Gigante, a Plagas-enhanced giant, roughly 5 times Leon's height, used as a heavy assault unit, below Tyrant in terms of being able to take instructions, above Cerberus tier in terms of sheer cost of producing and maintaining something of this size. $40 million each. Leon fights one in the quarry on the way to the church, which is already a lot. But then later in the castle, he fights 2 more at the same time. One of them is wearing full plate armor. I don't know who put armor on a giant. I don't know whose job that was, but I don't envy them. 3 El Gigantes in total. $120 million. One of them gets dropped into a lava pit, which feels right somehow. Victorious Mendez, the village chief, fused with a dominant strain of Plaga that allows him to extend his spine as a whip and separate his upper torso as its own independent threat. He's a command-grade unique bioweapon, not mass-produced, built for a specific leadership role within the cult's hierarchy. Around $60 million, Leon burns the barn down around him. The Garradors are 2 blind, claw-armed dungeon guardians installed in the castle. Enhanced hearing to compensate for the complete absence of vision. Purpose-built for close-quarter security. $20 million each, and Leon defeats them by sneaking around behind them and shooting the parasite through their spines, which is effective and genuinely kind of rude to a $20 million installation. Then we have the Regenerators. And look, if you played RE4, you know what's coming, and I can see your shoulders tense up a little bit just from me saying the word. These things can regenerate any wound instantly. They breathe wrong. Standard ammunition is functionally useless, and you need a thermal scope just to see where to aim. The in-game document describes them as effectively immortal as long as their internal parasites survive. $25 million each. Leon kills roughly 4 of them on the island. That's $100 million, and whatever it costs in therapy to stop hearing that breathing. The Verdugo is Salazar's personal bodyguard. Scorpion tail, wall climbing, moves through ventilation systems faster than Leon can run in open corridors. Natural armor that basically laughs at conventional weaponry unless you're point blank. This is the kind of bioweapon that doesn't go in a public catalog. It's the kind of thing you commission privately for one specific client. $80 million. Leon freezes it with liquid nitrogen and blasts it apart with a shotgun, which is extremely cool, and I think kind of personal. Ramon Salazar fuses himself with a Queen Plaga and one of his Verdugos into something that lives on the ceiling of a tower and spits acid at you. $90 million. Goodbye, Ramon. And then we have Jack Krauser, former US Special Forces. Technically Wesker's asset, but embedded in this mission. $70 million. The knife fight between him and Leon is one of the best things in the game. And also, Leon absolutely did not have to make it that personal, but he did. And finally, we have Sadler, the leader of the Los Illuminados, the host of the most evolved dominant Plaga strain in existence. Spider-limbed in his final form, he is the entire operation. Every cult member, every Plaga, every bioweapon on this list traces back to him. He's operating above Tyrant tier in a way a nuclear weapon operates above a rifle. $200 million. Then Ada throws Leon a rocket launcher to finish the job, which has happened twice now across these games. And I'm genuinely starting to think Ada just keeps a rocket launcher in her bag for this specific person. And I think that's kind of sweet, actually. RE4 total, $830 million. Running total after 2 games, $1,184 million. Now we're in 2013, RE6. Leon is 36 now, and the game opens up with him having to shoot the president. Not a stranger who's been turned into a monster, the president. The Le Petite is a gas-emitting bioweapon that infects everyone in its immediate vicinity almost instantly. It's functionally a walking mass casualty delivery system, which is about as offensive as a biological weapon can get. Leon runs into one in Tall Oaks, and then another one on a commercial aircraft over the Pacific, which is where things go from bad to internationally complicated. 2 of them at $60 million each. The second one ends with Leon crash landing a plane in China, which is a whole separate category of expensive. We're absolutely not counting here. Deborah Harper, Helena's sister, transformed against her will through the C-Virus, is $30 million of destroyed operational value, and is one of the genuinely sadder moments in Leon's career because she had nothing to do with any of this, and Helena has to watch the whole thing happen. And then there's Derek Simmons. The US National Security Advisor gets infected with the Diabo DNA and transforms, across multiple encounters, into a giant dog, then a dinosaur, then something scorpion adjacent, then some kind of fly situation. And every time Leon apparently kills him, he gets back up and becomes something worse. The National Security Advisor of the United States of America turns into a dinosaur, and Leon Kennedy has to shoot the dinosaur. We'll value Simmons at $150 million. That's just the bioweapon portion. That doesn't include whatever it cost Simmons to become the national security advisor in the first place, which is probably also a lot. RE6's total, $300 million. Running total now is at $1,484 million. And finally, Requiem, the game that gave us the price list in the first place. And here's the thing about Requiem that I didn't fully appreciate until I actually went through Leon's entire campaign, section by section. I assumed it would be a smaller number. One late game villain here, maybe some incidental enemies, but I was wrong. Very, very wrong. Let's start with what's on the catalog, because there's more of it here than you would expect. Somewhere under the ruins of Raccoon City, inside a facility called ARC, Umbrella has been storing live bioweapons in containment pods for decades, and Leon finds them, like all of them. Working his way through 2 separate bioweapon repositories in the depths of ARC, he encounters Lickers, cataloged them, $14 million each, and numbers that would have been his entire bill in 1998. There's a group of 4 in Repository 12 alone, more in Repository 11 when the override key releases every pod in the room, and simultaneously, they all come filing out at once. Conservatively, across both sections, Leon puts down around 8 Lickers in ARC. That's $112 million in things that breathe wrong and crawl on ceilings, just in the basement of one building. And then there's Plant 43, $100 million, right there in the catalog. The giant carnivorous plant. In Requiem, it's blocking the entrance to ARC at the bottom of a ravine under Raccoon City. And it's been down there growing in the dark for 28 years since the original outbreak. Leon fights his way down through a tunnel full of vine traps, defeats it, and moves on. He doesn't even break stride. A $100 million bioweapon that's been sitting in the earth for nearly 3 decades, and Chad Kennedy finds it, kills it, and keeps walking to the next problem. And then we have Super Tyrant, not the original Mr. X, a clone. The game calls it Tyrant T501, and it gets deployed against Leon on the streets outside of Raccoon City Police Department, his old workplace, which is a genuinely unpleasant bit of staging on Umbrella's part. It has the same coat, same build, sprouts a giant claw in the fight because apparently that's the upgrade. $120 million. Leon parries it, carves out his heart with a hatchet, and moves on. And finally, Victor Gideon himself. Gideon has spent decades conducting Nemesis-adjacent enhancement experiments on his own body using Spencer's incomplete research. His final form, a giant oozing mass of bone, blood, and pustules, is operating somewhere in the territory of this thing listed as price negotiable. We'll value the destruction of Gideon and everything he was trying to become at $150 million, which is probably still generous to a man who crash-landed a helicopter into a care home and kept a bear trap in his own facility. RE9's total? $562 million. That's not the number I expected. That's larger than RE6. That's a larger number than RE2. And it's coming from a game where Leon spends half of his time visibly dying from a disease he picked up 30 years ago. So it's time for the final tally. RE2, $354 million. RE4, $830 million. RE6, $300 million. And RE9, $562 million. With a grand total, $2,046 million. $2 billion. Leon Kennedy has crossed $2 billion in damage to Umbrella, its affiliates, and everyone who decided to put something expensive in his way. And that's the conservative number. It doesn't count for every licker across both RE2 scenarios, the Umbrella Elite Guards in ARC, the Blisterborns, the giant spider in the ruins of Raccoon City, the armored BSAA zombies, the Garmer Wolves on the highway, or the Umbrella commander Leon defeats in a hatchet duel before he even reaches the final boss. The real number is higher, probably significantly higher. And if you want, I can do more of these videos, so let me know down in the comments, and thank you for watching.